Well, you represented Trump in the Stormy Daniels case. And I've actually interviewed Stormy Daniels about this whole situation. From what I see, the two of them had consensual sex. He paid her for sex. And
No, he didn't pay her for sex. He paid her allegedly. Now, he denies that, understand, but let's assume that that's what that was. He paid her because after they had consensual sex, according to her, she was going to go public. So he paid a nuisance settlement, which happens all the time, to settle the case so she didn't, file a lawsuit or go public with it. And it's called the nuisance settlement. It happens all the time, every day of the week. So that's what it really was about. He didn't pay her to have sex, so it wasn't about that.
Okay, because you represented him in the Jean Carroll case as well?
I represented one of the Jean Carroll cases, the rape, quote-unquote, rape trial, where he was found not liable by a jury for rape. And remember, that's a 51% standard, right? And the New York juries are not friendly to Donald Trump, as we saw in the AG case, as we saw in the Carroll case, especially Carroll 2. I didn't represent him in that. Alina Habba did, where there was an $83 million verdict for a defamation when the lawyers asked for $10 million initially. They sued. They then went to the jury and said, you should give $24 million for his conduct. And the jury said, yeah, no, we're not going to list you plaintiff's attorney. We're going to give 83 instead of 24. So I wasn't part of that case, though. But the one I was in was the rape case, where they said rape 51 times in that trial. And the jury was found not liable for rape. They clipped him for sexual abuse and defamation, and awarded $5 million to her in that trial. But the rape thing, which is what they were playing for, and which would have been a game changer, because when you're found to be a rapist, it's a little bit different. So we did that trial, and then I was in the Stormy Daniels case, but after about 2 years, I withdrew before the trial.
What is Trump like behind the scenes, working with him on cases like this?
So, listen, here's what I'm going to answer best I can, Vlad, but here's what I'll say. I see a lot of these lawyers who used to represent Trump go on TV and badmouth him now. I don't understand how that happens. There is still a fiduciary obligation to a client, whether it's Donald Trump or Donald Smith. Once you are a lawyer of somebody, you have a fiduciary obligation. Unless the client is suing you where you have to respond, you really shouldn't say anything about the client. Now, that being said, I don't have any issue with President Trump at all. As a matter of fact, I was invited to the inauguration. I was invited to a celebratory party at Mar-a-Lago after the win, and I just couldn't make either. I was in trial in Los Angeles during the inauguration. So I have nothing bad to say about him. He is who he is, though. I mean, he's not the easiest client in the world, without question. I mean, you see how many lawyers he's gone through and cycled through, because he's very demanding. He wants what he wants, and obviously it served him well. He's made a political comeback that I don't think anyone saw coming, and he did it, and somehow he, overwhelmingly won that last election. In part, I think it had to do with his opponents. I think the Biden, presidency was quasi-disastrous, and then Kamala Harris was not, I think a suitable candidate. So I don't know but bottom line is he made a political comeback that I don't think we've ever seen the likes of. So, but he was not, he was very, very demanding in his requests, and he'd call me at 7 a.m. almost every morning when we talk. And, he's also he wants to do something, he's going to do it, like do some social media posts that we didn't see eye to eye on sometimes during my case, where I discussed with him. And, he I guess either appreciated the fact that I would go back and forth with him. And at one point, the nickname for me became the Maniac. He used to call me, the Maniac's calling me now. He's going to yell at me about something. So he sent it to me. So I was like, all right, I guess that's fine. But look, it was an experience. If you would have told me when I was growing up in Brownsville, getting my lunch taken from me, getting to, I swear, I think I had 50 fights before I was 12 years old, Vlad. One day I'd be representing the President of the United States of America as a lawyer. I would have said you have a better chance of Godzilla conquering Manhattan than that happening. So, but he was not the easiest client to work for, but I don't think that shocks anyone. I think he'd be the first to tell you that.